Okay, I'm Jane Miller. I'm with the Africa Regional Department in DFID, and I thought I'd tell you a few minutes about a programme we've been designing over the last year, which is on female genital mutilation, also known as female genital cutting. It's an interesting topic for DFID because it's something we've never done any serious work on in the past. Maybe it's just too taboo. Maybe we were concerned about whether there really was an African movement to change the practice. And so over the last year, we've been working with African leaders, been working across with a number of civil society organisations to develop a new programme. It's very exciting because in December last year, the UN General Assembly passed the first resolution on banning FGM, and there is an African-led movement to end the practice. One of the things we've found out is that very few people know much about FGM or FGMC. About 3 million girls in Africa alone are exposed to the practice each year, and we know about 140 million women have been subjected to the practice. It varies widely. It varies from a relatively small procedure, just a small cut of the clitoris, right the way through to quite extensive removal of the female external genitalia and the girl being completely sewn up. And we know there's no positive health benefits to the practice. In fact, the excruciating pain of having the practice done right the way through to years of menstrual and urinary retention, and the psychological damage. And in my view, it's one of the worst forms of discrimination against girls and women. So with DFID putting girls and women at front and centre of our strategy, it's timely for us to be doing a really serious piece of work, backing an African-led movement to end the practice. So our programme, we have an ambitious vision, and the vision is to end FGMC within one generation. That's what happened with foot binding. It finished in one generation. And listening to some of the success stories coming out from Africa at the moment, we believe that that could actually happen. So the approach we're using, it mixes a number of different strategies. One is working with targeted action in communities in 15 countries across Africa. We'll be using a social norms approach, which understands that it's a practice that happens because it always has happened. It's a practice that's been happening for about 2,000 years. And it happens, and people do it because everybody else does it in the community. It's a social norm. And many mothers believe that they want to have their child exposed to the practice because if they don't, the child might be ostracised by the society or not considered fit for marriage. So the first part of our work will be working on targeted action with civil society groups at the community level. The other part of the programme we're working with legislation and policy to ensure that policy and legislation is fit for purpose and is implemented. The third part of our work will be working to get a global movement, to get other donors behind the practice. As I said, DFID hasn't done much work on this in the past, and in fact that's true of many other donors. We've added up all the donor total financing on FGMC, and it comes to about $18 million a year. It's a tiny amount of funding. So we're wanting to generate a global movement to get people serious about taking up the issue, seeing it as an act of violence against women, and support Africans to really change the practice. We'll also be working with the diaspora, working with UK groups to see how they can work with their home communities to end the practice there. And the final part of the programme is going to be working on research. As we were writing the business case for this programme, it became very clear that we don't know that much about how to end the practice. We've got some good case studies, we've got some good evidence that a social norms approach is the effective way to go, but we need stronger evidence. So the whole programme is going to have a very robust part of evidence. The programme is to be designed over 5 years, with this being seen as very much the foundation to further work that will happen in latter years, with the further work happening in latter years based upon real evidence of what works. So we have approval for up to £35 million from DFID for the next 5 years. It's a very exciting programme, and we believe it's the right thing to do. It's the right time for DFID, putting girls and women at the centre of their strategy. And we think it's good news for girls and women across Africa. Thank you.